So, people, about arson. The whole world is on fire. Why is the whole world on fire? Now, this is easy to see. We have around 7.5 to 7.8 million people. We have also around 70 billion land animals. Those animals need to be fed. It takes around, using low conservative estimates, like I did use in my video that I did make on the what's burning there, Amazon rainforest. If you want to check it out, will put it in the comment. On the area of rainforest land, with the size of just 1.2 acres, around 80 beetle species were found. In Borneo, there were found around 703 species because of animal agriculture, or so I like to call it, animal agriculture. And people say, people talk about soy production, at least since I'll show you the reality. I will wake you up, and I will show you the reality. It is animal agriculture. According to the World Bank reports, at least since 2060, around 70, 80% of all the rainforest destruction is because of cattle ranching and animal agriculture's total supply of food and all that kind of products is around 81%, at least 81%. Any day, one area with the size of New York City, on conservative estimate, is destroyed mainly because of animal agriculture, or so I like to call it, animal agriculture. And people say, people talk about soy production, but do you know that at least 80%, some say even 90%, of all the soy on this planet is feed to livestock, and around 70% of all the corn on the planet is feed for livestock. I say at least 70% of all the food on this planet is feed for livestock that we produce. 70 billion land animals and 2.8 trillion marine animals. Most of that is because of cattle ranching. Most of the rainforests on the world are burned down by the act of arson, by cattle ranchings, who want to make more land for their cattle ranching farms. This is legally sanctioned by the terrorist government of Brazil,
And their policies of even want to destroy and murder. According to the BBC. The people that live in the rainforest. President Bolsonaro, it is time that we are going to arrest you for committing arson on the rainforests. If we are going to say that the Animal Liberation Front are terrorists because they commit arson and create economical sabotage for animal exploiters, however, the clients of the FBI, then for hell's sake, the Brazilian government and all the other governments on the world that burn their rainforests, destroy the habitats of animals to make place for corn production, soy production, and other animal food production. To feed their animals that they want to eat for grower animal consuming populations. Why do we not hold them accountable? FBI. This world needs rainforests. This world needs plants more. This world needs the rainforest more than the cattle industry. This world needs the rainforest more than Smithfield. It is time to take your priorities and stop saying that one group is righteous and the other one is not righteous because your corporate masters have invested interest in it. Arson is arson. If you are against it, then you should be against it all the time. I am for strategic arson. I've been for burning down of evil places. Places that are made to destroy, that bring bad memory. I'm for the idea of burning and or destroying concentration camp stuff. I am pro destroying hunting guns. I'm pro property destruction, specific. Only then actually when this property are made to murder. That's crime prevention, if you ask me. To talk about the law with me about that. I don't know what your law in your country thinks about that. My common sense is that people are crazy a lot of time. Like Nietzsche, like Freud did explain, he did explain that we have something like a super ego, and the ego, and the it. And the it, you can say, is that little devil, what some Christian cartoons show you. And the super ego is a bit like the part of you that actually lets you be actually a jerk, a bit like that you're extremely hold yourself on the social contracts of the law, and actually then the ego is actually in between of them, and we are doing a lot of time very silly things. The ego is the highly critical part. It is the selfish part that let us becoming addicted, and let us make stupid decisions that harm others. That's a problem with anti-vegans all the time. People are anti-vegan. They listen too much to the it. Like Freud did say. I think he did not say that, but if you use his model, that's what I mean. The world is on fire. Everywhere. Cattle ranchers burn the rainforest. There are ego terrorists. At least if you, just like me, actually follow the rainforest. Actually. And if you are just like me, follow the rainforest and the future of this earth more than economical benefits. Also, I can show you studies if you want. Actually, there are studies that actually did calculate the amount of profits that Amazon can provide, actually. And according to the studies, Bolsonaro is greatly underestimating the potential of tourism he can actually organize instead of sponsoring the cattle industry and burning his rainforests, what is in his country, down to in oblivion. Yes, I am frustrated. I'm frustrated that governments don't take responsible actions, that are constantly listen to the it, that I don't listen, that I don't think critical, that are listen to their corporate lobby groups that actually did help them in power, instead of that they listen to the interest of the future generations. That's how we did get in this whole crisis in the first place. Because of the idea of infinite growth, like with Memphis, did have a theory about the population growth, and that the population growth on a certain point is growing too much, and that is that we are not have enough resources to sustain the population. But what do we focus on? What do all the movements focus on? Trying to lobbying the people who have interest in destroying the future generations. I don't see the governments actually taking truly action. They make small changes. They say to you, alright, if you care about the environment, shower less. Use your bike instead of your car. That's all what they say. And then you realize that they dupe you when you go vegan, and you realize that one single hamburger takes the same amount of water. If you have around 2,500 gallons of water, that's the amount of water it costs to produce 1 pound of animal flesh, of cow flesh, and that's a conservative estimate. Statistics go all up to around 6,000 gallons of water per pound of flesh. If you wanted, I show you a video about that. I did also do a video they talk about this stuff. Also, like 4 to 12 kilograms per day of carbon dioxide. But in comparison to clear rainforest to produce cow flesh or beef, I put all the links here, always in my videos. Click on this one. Put it in Google. The biggest polluter is animal agriculture. That's the biggest polluter, people. I'm just a person in my own. I did find it out. The World Watch Institute. If you not want to believe my words, maybe check out websites like the World Watch Institute. There's a very good organization actually that does research on the state of the planet. All environmental science is on the side that animal agriculture should be stopped if we want to have a future for our generation that will come, for the earth, for the other animals, if we want to stop species extinction, it is all linked to animal agriculture. And if you want all people, I can show you all the stuff. I can show you all the stuff. But if you not want, if you have invested interest, I think you will block it all. And no matter what I say, you will not listen, because you have invested interest in protecting and destroying the future of your generations. Like Donald Trump, for example. How have you invested interest in Trump stake? And of course, therefore, he is very good friends with Bolsonaro and his beef industry. The biggest bodies. Hitler and Himmler. Of the animal Holocaust. Holocaust means, by the way, the sacrifice of a male animal on the altar of God. And the only reason you find maybe that offensive is because you consider yourself to be moral superior to another animal. And that etymology is called speciesism. It is not a problem that I call it the animal Holocaust. You think you are better than another animal, and therefore you find it offensive. That this etymology actually it started around some 10,000 years ago in Eurasia, with the domestication of animals and the switching from hunting gatherers, primarily gatherers, because hunting is not so predictable. Do your own research on that if you not believe me. If you want to do a more detailed video about it, you can also say it. I want this madness to stop. We cannot have empty oceans. The oceans can be completely dead if we are not going to change. We need to do diversify our strategies. We need to have more different kinds of activists we are should support. Maybe even if they don't support 100% pure pacifism or non-violence or whatever, how you want to call it. No matter if there are belief in the philosophy of Malcolm X or Gandhi or if we look to a lot of historical movements, they did not pander with the oppressor. They did not talk about welfare reforms. If you look to slavery, for example, in the United States, with James Hammond and the other slave masters, all these student racists, do you know what did you actually know that they actually did ask for welfare reforms? Because they wanted to take the stick out of the abolitionists' argument. That's why I don't support welfare reforms. I support abolition. Why? Because all arguments against veganism are not arguments, they are excuses. And I can prove it to you. Challenge me if you're not believing me on my word. Don't confuse confidence with arrogance. I believe life is more important than profit. Therefore, I support the animal liberation fronts in any of their actions. I don't support vivisectionists, like I don't support slave masters, like I don't support rapists, like I don't support serial murderers, and like I don't support ISIS. In the eyes of the victim, if I hope you can try to see, if you watch this from the animal's point of view, the victim's point of view, the state is no better than ISIS. Slaughterhouse workers are not better than ISIS in the eyes of the victims. Both groups take a knife, put it on the throat of a victim and cut their throat open. The victims don't see a difference between you claiming to be oppressed by the system and the brutal act of violence that you commit. Yes, I know many of you are immigrants, but that you are an immigrant does not excuse you from the crime in question. If you did not do that thing, no vegan will wish something on you. If you choose to have a decent job, boycott the violent industry that you claim that exploit you too. Stand of the side of the oppressed. Don't perpetuate the violence and the oppression that you are claiming to be a victim of. Just like the school bully that claims to be oppressed by his parents, claims to be kicked by his parents, claims to be a victim of abuse himself, and then goes to bully. Take responsibility. People should be judged on the way they judge the ones that are in their power. Since animals are the lowest class of society, they are even so systematic discriminated against that many of us don't see them anymore like victims. Maybe we subconscious think that we see them like victims, but if they were truly victims, we should not artificially inseminate them for dairy. If we were truly on their side, if we truly did not consider ourselves better, then we will not first of all masturbate bulls for the semen. No more than we will do that with athletes or something like that, so they can have more athletes, babies, or something like that. genetic. Actually, eugenics. That's eugenics, people. What those industries do. If you are against eugenics, boycott animal agriculture, because there are the implement of eugenics for the benefit of the oppressor. If you want to know where Hitler all that stuff about concentration camps did get from, remember this. They were transported in cattle cars. Concentration camps from the upside position. From a picture from the sky. Looks like a factory farm. If you look to pictures of it. I will show you a picture of it. Auschwitz begins when somebody looks at a slaughterhouse and think there are only animals. What Nazis were doing? They did dehumanize. The Jews, until they were in their minds nothing more than animals. Slave masters did dehumanize black people until they are not more than other animals. The root of the problem is that we demonized other animals until we did only see them like an object. Speciesism. It is the root of all forms of discrimination. Long before people learned to discriminate between whites, blacks, other homosexuals, they were first learned to discriminate to animals. Let's be honest, people. Discrimination is a learned behavior. Patriarchal, nationalistic, tribalistic, neo-fascist, liberal are systems of hierarchy. Why do we need an hierarchy? I don't see the validity in it. We don't need a hierarchical system. At least not to the extent, Ponzi scheme extent that we have today, with multi layers of people under it, and the people on top do the last work. Have the chillest life, get the most amount of money for the things that I do. And then the ones that are under them need to actually do more work. There's the pyramid people. Pyramid schemes. Like Stalin did say in his book, The Rule for Rulers. You have the king on the top, the capitalist on the top, CEO on the top. Then you have his keys, his social keys, that are the business inspectors or the accounts, and they're under the other workers and other workers. In America, for example, it's used a bit like the hierarchical system that was designed by Aristotles, the father of modern slavery. They did have a large pyramid scheme-like hierarchical system with gods on the top, man under it. The word man comes from hand, actually, it comes from the hand. Man means hand. The hand of God. Then lower, that were the military people that were not the priests, like they were not the kings people, they were the protectors of them. Then they have a layer of people who are different, like were not men type of people, where women were historically considered to be lesser than men, more like animals, more like nature, and men and nature was considered lesser than man, because man was descended from God. The whole hierarchical system is based on Christianity. It is based on patriarchal bedfather figure religions. If you are against tyranny, you should be against authoritarianism. You should be against the police state. You should be pro-activist. You should be, even if you are not always disagree with the actions of a group, you should always support that group, specifically when it fights against the government. Some say, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And this kind of relationships are necessary if you want to, sadly necessary, if you want to turn over an entire tyrannic system like capitalism. Capitalism does not bring equality, people. Look on the wealth grow in your country. I want that you do it honestly. I want that you take the time, look at your static of the economy of your country, and look how little actually the average wealth of the working people actually did increase. The people without assets, the people that don't can buy them because they have literally not the money to buy stocks and property that are considered wealth taxed and not taxed. And then look how much the wealth of the rich people actually skyrockets. You will probably see that if you look at your country, that the wealth of the population don't increase, and the average citizens don't increase when the society goes better. No, nothing. For example, I've seen studies from the United States and from studies from Aussie that show that an average income nearly did not change actually since the people that get elected. That's actually the in more than 9 years, but the population did not actually change. The rich did get richer, the poor did stay the same, maybe a little bit increase or become poorer. The economy is not important so much for the lower class people. If you are rich, if you have stocks, if you have what the state called wealth, then you have interest in that kind of stuff. But your piece of the pie of the economy grow is nearly zero. So why do you vote on a party that does not actually protect your farmers? If you are a poor person in the United States, why do you vote for Trump? He's a rich elite. It makes his money with gambling. And we all know gambling is a street way to the mafia world. It's a way they often make there are a lot of time used in money laundering, actually making illegal money, legal money. Did we nothing learn from people like Nixon and his constantly protection of the wealth and attacking activists and blackmailing and making discriminatory laws against the activists? The government is not on our side. The government is on the side of the big banks, big oil, big agriculture. That's the reason they give bailouts. That's the reason that we actually did, and if you live in the United States, that they actually did bailouts and pay for all the debt that Wall Street did actually created. And if you are in Japan, I think you can remember still that your government did actually bail out some large banks there also because of the economical crash. Because there are in capitalists, the capitalist world, the most important businesses. Capitalism is a fundamentally irrational system. Because it believes in the philosophy of infinite economical growth. And it listens not to ecologists. If they did do, they should all encourage population decline instead of population grow. Because there are too many people on this planet. Because the earth cannot sustain our current ecological disaster. The taking of fossil fuels, the taking of oil out of the earth. We're going to the last drops of the oil. In a couple of decades, we have no oil anymore. We need to change. We need to live in harmony with the 3 laws of ecology, like I often talk about in my videos. First, there is a limited amount of finite resources. Like methods that also say in this model about population growth. This means there is a limited amount of grow potential, because there are a limited amount of resources. This means there can be only a limited amount of people, there's a limited amount of land, there's a limited amount of oil, there's a limited amount of billionaires that there can be, there's a limited amount of a lot of things. Capitalism is the reason that some say 2 people in the United States own the same amount of wealth as the poorest 50%. Capitalists are the reason that, according to statistics, around 8 billionaires have the same amount of wealth as the poorest percent of the populations, and I'm pretty sure that those capitalists did calculate their lives also into the equation, because the poorest percentage of the population live on not on rich flesh of animals. The poorest percent of the population, people that are truly poor and dirt poor, that can afford McDonald's. The only reason this is in the Western world affordable is because of all the subsidies. But if you go into a poor country, it is far more affordable often to buy just plants, even more expensive fruits than eating animals. And that's changing because of the corruption of the meat, dairy, and egg industry, and their misinformation spreading in the rest of the world. They're enforcing their sick-making diets onto the populations of Africa, and they're sick-making diets on the populations of China, and they're sick-making diets onto the populations of India and other places of the world, giving them our diseases of wealth. Do your research about that kind of stuff, people. I'm not here to boom you out, make you angry for no good reason. I say this because I truly care. I truly care about equality. I truly care about this earth. I truly care about the animals that are suffering because of our ignorance, or the ignorance of our politicians, or the unwillingness of our politicians to do the right thing because they have financial interest. They listen too much to it in their mind, to the devil, instead to the super ego that is critical. People, please do your research. If I can give you anything to go with to Auschwitz right now, do your research. Don't read the media. Go talk with people how I know what they do. Ask me if I want to make videos about certain stuff, because I can read science. If you want to see it, and if you want that I explain it. If you want to do that, see that, or create some economical sabotage, so maybe that can wake up and shake up those filthy industries, that it is truly time to wake up to the disastrous treatments that are due to the animals, to the disastrous treatments they are allowed. And don't call terrorists like the arsons in the rainforests for the cattle ranching industry. Legal does not mean right. Some laws are good. Some laws are equivalent. They are neither good nor bad. Some are pure evil. I think if you are black, you know someone that were evil. Black coat, Jim Crow rules, the laws that are did have in South Africa, the policies that any black woman that claimed to be raped was lying, and that's kind of stuff. People, awake. Where are you, finals? Are you yours by the future? By how your future children will look at you? When you have destroyed their future? When you actually have give them a worst future that you have come from? Because historically we always go with the model that our next generations will have it better than the generations that come before. Right now, if you will do your research, you will see that according to all non-animal agriculture, no oil industry studies, that all those true scientists are actually all true scientists actually all agree that the most biggest threat to the environment right now is climate change. And you can stop it. Boycott welfare system. Boycott the animal agriculture industry. Expose them. Tell the truth about them. Tell them. Tell people. Tell the government. Say in your protest speeches. Say what needs to be said. Don't play a politician. Speak the truth. Because we need the truth. We need the truth more than ever. We are talking about the future. We are not living with an unlimited amount of time model. The time is running out. It is time that corporations stop playing zero-sum games. It is time that we stop playing zero-sum games. It is time that we start to care as a society. Care about disenfranchised groups, and that includes the animals. How you are being trained to feel superior by this racist, sexist, homophobic, xenophobic, misogynistic, speciesistic, anthropocentric, capitalist system. I hope you respect my honesty. I hope that you respect the fact that I'm not a politician. And I hope you do your research. Check out my videos. I will put them in the description. And I hope this message will give you some more openness in your mind. And maybe can let you think about stuff that you did not think about before because of social conditioning. Because of cognitive dissonance. When darkness and light become one, the reality is split away and the truth becomes visible. Watch always things from the victim's point of view, people. You maybe think that you are a victim, but there are always groups who have it worse than you. The animals have it the worst. All the cruelty that we are committing on each other. We first committed on animals. We are so good in tormenting each other because we first did learn to discriminate and be hateful to other animals. And we have tried to rationalize it. We have made ridiculous stories in our mind to justify our behavior. If a giraffe was as arrogant as our leaders, our influential people, then the quality of having an extremely long neck will be the criteria of deserving rights. If a dog was as arrogant as us, then the criteria of deserving rights will be the capacity to sniff bombs or drugs. If a dolphin was as arrogant as us, then the capacity to deserve rights in the dolphin culture will be the capacity to feel sonars and communicate non-verbally. If elephants were so arrogant as us, then the capacity of deserving more rights you can suggest is can spreading sounds far between, actually can communicate with extreme high sounds from very different, from very large distance. If you can say that if we were criticized and judged by a dirt beetle, by a scarab, maybe you can say that they say that we are lesser because we cannot survive in shit and not can actually clean up the shit and actually be earth cleaners. Like, be sure. Sorry, people, but I have to break it. Damage control is not stewardship. Damage control is what's called stewardship most of the time. Cleaning up the problems of other people, like the fishing nets in the ocean. Majority of the fishing nets in the ocean, and the majority of the plastic in the ocean is fishing nets of illegal fisheries and illegal fisheries. How drop their nets in the oceans. They turn in ghost nets. I'm such disappointed in our government. Why do the people need to do the job of the government? Why do citizens need to do the job of the government? Now I tell you, it is because of this. If you want to do something for the oceans, if you want to be a non-government agency protecting the ocean, check out the World Charter for Nature. And check out about what Paul Watson is saying about that. Because we need to take action against our own corrupt governments. How live too much in fantasy land. And talk too much about dreams of unlimited grow. It is terrible. But this is the reality. And we need to do something. We need to diversify our strategies. Because talking only with law people, talking only to a law system that have invested interest in protecting protecting criminals, animal abusers. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. You cannot have an evil corporation. You cannot have a good corporation that have connections to a bad organization. That's were Dr. Luther King's words, people. We try to work together. Peter buys parts actually in the beef industry because I think that if they actually have and strong in that business, they think that they can influence that industry in doing more humane businesses. We don't need more welfareism. We need a liberation. We need to go to the problem. We need to take down the subsidies. We have to rip our blinders off. We have to educate the poorer populations. We need to have them on our side. And we need to create a revolution. Ever heard of angry activists walking together with their oppressors? In a dance uniform. Ever see people who are against pedophilia walk hands in hands with pedophiles and walk hands in hands with NEMLA, talking about peace and harmony? NEMLA, North American Manla Bar Federation, a group of admitting pedophiles, trying to get respect and try to legalize pedophilia. I'm going to be quite hard here. We need to bring economical damage to those industries. So the stocks of those industries drop down. So people don't invest anymore, or people will less invest in these industries because they know that investing in these industries can hurt their agenda. They can hurt their pocket. We need to expose the lies of the meat dairy industry. For example, the protein lie. We don't need large amount of protein. The World Health Organization says it. Most plant-based doctors say it. If you want to learn more about that, check out the work of Dr. Mika Greger, or check out the work of Dr. John McDougall, or any other of the plant-based doctors. They can show you that you don't need that so large amount of protein. Sorry, people. We need to have a large amount of calories. We are carbohydrate consuming carbohydrate consuming species. The carbohydrate fear in our societies around specifically America and England, and this is so outdated. Sorry, people. I have to be honest on you. I have to be truthful to you. I will not lie. I will not compromise a single inch, and I will be hurt. The apathy of the people seems to be enough to hasten the resurrection of the dead. Like William Lord Garrett did say. Tell a man to moderately save his wife from the ransom. Tell him to moderately save his child from the fire. But don't ask me to use moderation in a case like the present. We are in urge. Like William Lord Garrison also did say. I know my history. I know how the public can be misled by propaganda of the exploiters. I know how totally asinine governments can be. Showing one thing, holding their back on the other. For example, focusing on logging in the rainforest as the main source of deforestation, when the cattle industry is the biggest problem of deforestation, and the reason that actually cattle farmers burn down the rainforests. And also some corn farmers and genetic modified soy farmers, but majority of all the soy, like I did say in my video about what's burning the rainforest, most of that is feed for livestock. Only 1% is actually for us people. Sorry, people. Sometimes the radicals are right. Sometimes the people you dislike are right. And the majority are that group of people in that metaphor that actually did walk from a cliff. And the minority is right, and because then the majority is then the group of people that actually standing on the side. Actually, and saying to the people, don't walk from the cliff. There is a cliff. Please, people, awake. Make a plea, apologize for the way of living. If you know better, now I tell this you all,